For thousands of years, the stars burned with war. The Vorn Dominion and the Krell Swarm fought across 1,000 worlds. No one remembered who started the first battle. The reason was lost to time. What remained was hate, deep and cold like space itself. The Vorn were a proud empire of tall silver beings with eyes like mirrors. They built cities that floated on fire and ships that could crush moons. The Krell were different. They were born from dark worlds full of acid seas. Their bodies were hard, and their minds shared thoughts like one voice. They never stopped. They never feared death. Both sides believed they were chosen to rule the galaxy. Every planet became a graveyard. Vorn soldiers marched through dust and ash. Krell swarms fell from the sky like rain. The light of explosions painted the void red. Generations were born under the sound of war drums and died before seeing peace. Even the stars seemed tired of the endless fighting. The Vorn High Command called it the eternal struggle. The Krell called it the sacred hunt. For both it was honor to fight. For both it was madness to stop. Every year new weapons were made. Every year new planets were lost. Yet the war never changed. It only grew larger one day. A strange signal came from the edge of the known systems. At first it was ignored. The commanders thought it was static from a dying satellite. But the signal came again. A voice spoke in a strange language. It was soft and calm. It carried no threat. It carried no fear. The machines translated the words, and the galaxy heard a message that none expected. We come in peace. We are human. The words confused the Vorn. The Krell laughed in their hives. They had mapped every known species in this region of the stars. None matched the name human. Some thought it was a mistake. Others thought it was a trick from the enemy. But the signal was real. It came from small ships moving slowly through the dark. The Vorn fleet sent scouts. The Krell sent hunters. They both found the same thing. A group of metal ships with simple designs. No heavy armor. No great energy signatures. They looked like relics from another age. Weak and small. Yet they moved with strange precision. Every motion was calm. Every formation perfect. The first Vorn captain to see them laughed. He ordered a message. Turn back or be destroyed. There was no answer. Only silence. Then one of the human ships moved forward and sent a single pulse of light. The Vorn scanners read it as a greeting. But the signal caused every system on the Vorn ship to freeze for a second. The crew felt cold fear for the first time in years. The Krell also tested them. They launched a swarm of attack drones. The drones reached the human ships and vanished. Not destroyed, not broken, just gone. The space around them turned white for a breath and then empty again. The Krell hive screamed in confusion. No one understood what had happened. The Vorn High General ordered a full scan. The results were impossible. The human ships used no known power. No plasma, no antimatter. The energy field around them was alive, bending light and gravity like a wave on water. One scientist whispered, "They are not using weapons. They are using knowledge." For the first time in 1,000 years, the war stopped for a moment. Both empires turned their eyes to the newcomers. Small fleets, silent and patient, watching from the edge of the burning stars. They did not fire. They did not speak again. They only waited. The Krell Queen demanded an attack. She called humans insects that dared to enter her hunt. The Vorn Council agreed. Both armies gathered for one more battle, the last before total victory. Millions of ships moved into formation, the sky filled with metal. At the center of it all, the humans watched. Their leader, a calm woman named Admiral Sarah, looked at the endless fleets and spoke to her crew. Her voice was steady like stone. "They have fought for ages," she said, "but we will end it in days." The human ships spread in silence. No sound, no warning. Then the stars blinked once. Every sensor in both alien fleets failed for a second. When the lights returned, hundreds of Krell and Vorn ships were gone. The space they once filled was empty. No debris, no explosions. Only quiet space fear spread faster than light. The Vorn believed it was some kind of curse. The Krell believed the humans had stolen their souls. No one could explain what had happened. The next message came from Earth itself. It was short and final. "Stop your war, or we will stop it for you." Every commander felt the words like a weight. The Vorn High General wanted to answer, but his ship's power died before he could. The Krell Queen screamed orders, but her hives lost connection. Across the galaxy, the endless war began to fall silent. No one understood who humans truly were. No one knew from where they came or how long they had watched. But one truth spread like a whisper through every mind. The war that lasted for ages was about to end. The galaxy stood silent for the first time in living memory. The Vorn and the Krell fleets hung in space, their weapons quiet, their crews waiting for orders that never came. The humans had spoken only once, and that single message had stopped a war that burned for 1,000 years. No one understood how it happened. No one wanted to believe it. Commanders argued that it was a trick. Some thought the humans used hidden technology. Others whispered that they used something far worse. Something that could reach the mind itself. The Vorn High Council called an emergency meeting. 10 leaders sat in a room of light and glass, their silver faces reflected in every wall. The oldest of them spoke first. "We have studied every signal, every code, every trace. These humans came from a system near a yellow star called Sol." Another counselor frowned. "That system is unimportant. It has no trade, no colonies, no military record. Why would such a weak world do this?" The oldest answered slowly. "Because they are not weak, they are quiet. And those who are quiet often hide great power. On the other side of the galaxy, deep in a nest made of bone and metal, the Krell Queen screamed in fury. Her armies had never lost to any species. Her swarms had eaten stars. Now her drones vanished like dust before wind. She refused to believe it was real. She ordered a second attack. The Vorn did not join this time. They watched in silence as the Krell ships rushed forward. Thousands of them, fast, hungry, full of rage. The humans did not move. They waited calm as always. The Krell commander shouted across the comms, "Die, humans, and return our honor." Then the human fleet disappeared from every sensor. The Krell scanners showed nothing but empty space. For a full minute the Queen believed they had fled. She laughed through the hive mind. But then her laughter stopped. Every Krell ship began to report strange readings. Temperatures dropped. Space itself felt wrong. Then came the light. A soft blue light spread across the battlefield. Not fire, not plasma. Something else. The Krell ships froze in place. The Vorn watched in silence as the light faded. The Krell armada was gone. Not destroyed. Not broken. Gone. The Queen's connection to her hive went silent. Half her mind was missing. The Vorn High Council ended the transmission in fear. The galaxy's oldest powers had just watched the impossible. The humans spoke again. Her voice came through every open frequency, calm, firm, not proud, not angry. "We warned you once. This is the last warning. End your war or humanity will end it for you." The voice was not robotic. It was human. It had warmth. That warmth made it even more terrifying. The Vorn High General sent a message back, trying to sound strong. "You are few. We are millions. You cannot end us." The human reply came at once. "Numbers mean nothing when your weapons cannot touch us." The Vorn scanners detected something new. Above the human fleet appeared a single massive structure. It was not a ship. It was like a gate of light larger than moons. Inside it, space twisted like liquid. No one knew what it was. The humans called it the Horizon Engine. The Vorn called it the End Gate. The Krell called it Death's Mouth. For days, the alien worlds watched from afar as the humans moved the structure across the war zones. Wherever it passed, silence followed. Dead planets became calm again. Ships vanished. Explosions stopped. The war was ending, not by peace talks, but by human will. The Vorn scientists tried to study the humans. They sent drones to follow the fleet. None returned. One drone sent a final image before it vanished. It showed the surface of a human ship. The words written on its side were clear. Earth Defense Union, peace through strength. The image spread across the galaxy. Billions saw it. Billions feared it. Still, some refused to surrender. The Krell Queen, now half insane, gathered what was left of her army. She wanted revenge. She launched a desperate attack on a human communication relay near a small sun. The moment her ships entered range, the relay glowed blue. For 3 seconds, all stars in that region went dark. When light returned, every Krell ship was gone. The Queen's scream echoed across space for the last time. The Vorn Council finally understood. Humanity was not fighting for territory. They did not want slaves or colonies. They wanted silence. They wanted peace. And they were willing to erase entire civilizations to achieve it. Many Vorn leaders wanted to surrender at once. Others still argued. One young commander named Lareth spoke quietly. "We do not know their reason. They could destroy us at any time, but they choose not to. That means they want something." The council asked, "What could such a species want?" Lareth answered, "Maybe they want to see if we can change." Weeks passed. The human fleet stopped moving. They held position near the center of the war zone. A message was sent to every world, every ruler, every soldier. This galaxy has known nothing but war. Humanity will not rule you, but if you fight again, we will return. Then the human ships began to vanish one by one into the horizon engine. Each ship entered the blue light and disappeared. No one knew where they went. Some said they returned home. Others said they went beyond time itself. When the last ship was gone, the war was over. The stars were silent. The ashes of 1,000 worlds cooled, but in the heart of the Vorn capital, a young scientist stared at the empty sky and whispered, "No one ends a war this way without reason." What are they preparing for? The galaxy tried to return to peace, but peace felt strange after so many centuries of war. The Vorn rebuilt their cities. The Krell were silent and broken. The stars that once burned with fire now glowed quietly in the dark. Yet behind every whisper of peace there was fear. Fear of the humans who ended it all. No one had seen a human for months. No one knew where their fleets went after entering the horizon engine. Only their warning remained. "If you fight again, we will return." The Vorn High Council tried to forget. They said the humans were gone. They told their people the danger had passed. But in secret the military began to plan. Pride was stronger than fear. The Vorn had been rulers for thousands of years. They could not accept being humbled by a small, unknown species from a single star. In the dark halls of the Vorn Research Corps, scientists worked day and night. They studied the few traces of human technology they had captured. Most of it was unreadable. The materials could not be scanned. The energy signatures could not be copied. One scientist named Kale discovered something strange. The humans were not using any known element. Their power came from folding space itself, bending it like soft metal. Kyle told his superiors, "They are not creating energy. They are stealing it from the universe." The generals laughed at him. They wanted weapons, not theories. So Kale was ignored. Months later, the Krell broke their silence. A small hive sent a signal into Vorn space. They claimed they had captured a human beacon left behind in the war zone. It was inactive, but still humming with unknown power. The Vorn sent a fleet to meet them. Together they studied the device. The beacon was small, almost harmless looking, a silver sphere with smooth surfaces. But when it was opened, everything changed. The space around it twisted. Lights flickered. One ship vanished instantly. The rest escaped with heavy damage. Hihel reviewed the data and said only one thing. That was not a weapon. It was a warning. The humans left it here to see if we would touch it. The Vorn general did not care. He was tired of fear. He wanted revenge. "We will test them," he said. "If they return, we will see their strength." The test began near a forgotten system called Valen's Edge. The Vorn launched a small attack against a Krell mining colony, pretending to restart the war. Their plan was simple. If the humans were still watching, they would appear. If not, the galaxy was free. The Vorn ships opened fire. Explosions filled the black sky. The Krell responded with old rage. For the first time in years, the sound of war returned. For 3 days they fought. No human ships came. The Vorn general smiled. He believed the humans were gone. He sent a message to his council. "We are free." Humanity was a myth. Then on the 4th day the stars went dark, no warning. No explosion, just darkness. Every sensor shut down. Every signal died. The crews could not see their own hands. The stars vanished like someone had covered the sky. When light returned, the Vorn fleet was gone. All of it, thousands of ships. Only one small cruiser remained, drifting powerless. Inside it, the last surviving crew member floated among the dead. His eyes were open, his mouth moving in silent fear. The ship's recorder still worked. It captured his final words. "They are here." The recording reached the Vorn High Council. Panic filled every hall. The generals argued again. Some wanted to surrender before it was too late. Others wanted to fight. Pride still fought against fear. Then the humans spoke. Their voice came through every channel, calm and clear. "We told you not to fight. You broke your word." This was the first strike. There will not be a second. Across the stars, everyone listened. Every race, every ruler, every soldier. The words were heavy like mountains. The Krell hives that survived began to pray to the humans as gods. The Vorn called them demons, but none dared to speak against them again. The Vorn High General fell silent for days. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. "We cannot stop them, but we must understand them." He called Kyle, the scientist, and said, "Find out what they are. Find where they come from. If they can bend space, they must have limits." Kyle agreed, but deep inside he knew the truth. Humanity's limits were not in power. They were in mercy. Meanwhile, far away near the system of Sol, humanity watched the chaos unfold through invisible satellites hidden in the dark. Admiral Sarah stood inside her command ship, the Atlas, surrounded by holographic screens. Her crew waited for orders. She said quietly, "They tested us again. It's over now." A young officer looked at her and asked, "Will they try again?" Sarah's eyes were calm. "They always do. It's in their nature." Another officer whispered, "Then why don't we end them completely?" Sarah turned away from the stars. "Because we are human. We don't destroy because we can. We destroy only when we must." Outside the ship, the Horizon engine glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. The light of Earth's sun reflected across its surface. Humanity had proven their power once again, but their silence was more frightening than their weapons. In the far corners of the galaxy, the Krell built temples to honor them. The Vorn wrote secret reports warning their leaders to never challenge Earth again. But among the stars, rumors began to spread. Some said the humans were not protecting peace. They were preparing for something greater, something coming from beyond the galaxy itself. And as the night grew darker, a message flickered across human command screens deep on Earth. Unknown transmission detected. Origin outside Milky Way. Admiral Sarah stared at the message in silence. She knew the galaxy had not seen the last of war. Humanity had ended one war in days, but another was already waiting beyond the edge of the stars. The war had ended, but peace did not bring comfort. It brought fear. The kind of fear that moves in silence and lives inside the heart. Across the galaxy, every world spoke one name in whispers: humanity. The Krell had turned their hives into shrines. They painted the image of a blue sun on their walls, saying it was the light of Earth. They no longer called themselves warriors. They called themselves the chosen of the humans. The Vorn watched them with disgust and fear. They rebuilt their fleets, but none dared to test their weapons. Their ships moved quietly, as if the stars themselves might be listening. Every time they detected an unknown signal, panic spread through the command centers. The memory of the first strike still haunted them. An entire fleet erased in a second. No explosion, no light, only silence. The Vorn called it the night without stars. To the Krell, it was the day of judgment. In the great city of Vorn Prime, the High Council gathered again. The air was heavy with tension. The generals wanted to hide. The scientists wanted to learn. The leaders wanted to survive. General Lareth, the youngest among them, stood and spoke. "We cannot live in fear forever. We must understand what they are. If we know the humans, maybe we can protect ourselves." The others stared at him. Some called him a fool. Others nodded. Finally, the High Commander said, "Do what you must, but do it quietly. The humans must never know." Lareth gathered the best minds of the Vorn Empire. Among them was Kale, the scientist who had once warned that humans bend space itself. Together they began Project Mirror. The goal was simple: to trace the energy patterns used by human ships and find their source. For months they worked in secret. They built massive scanners near the edge of the galaxy. The devices searched the deep dark for the strange blue light of human energy. For a long time, there was nothing. Then one night the scanners found something, a faint signal. Weak but real. It came from far beyond any known star. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Gale recorded it and said, "It is not from the humans. It is something else." "Something older," Lareth frowned. "Older? What do you mean?" Kyle answered slowly. "The frequency matches no human code, but it responds when we use human patterns. It knows them. It remembers them." The discovery spread across the hidden labs. Some believed it was a trap left by the humans. Others said it was proof that humanity had been here before. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, fear was growing stronger. The Krell hives began to vanish one by one. Entire colonies stopped sending messages. No distress calls, no signals, just silence. At first, the Vaughn believed it was human punishment for their spying. But then they found something impossible. On one dead Krell world, a Vaughn scout team found a giant symbol carved into the stone. It was the same symbol seen on human ships, the mark of Earth Defense Union, but under it was another line, written in a language no one could read. Kyle translated what little he could. It said, "We are not the first." The words spread like fire. What did it mean? Not the first what? Not the first humans? Not the first destroyers? The High Council tried to stop the rumors, but it was too late. Every world, every station, every soldier began to ask questions. Who were the humans really? How did they gain such power? And if they were not the first, who came before them? Far away, in the quiet space near the Sol system, Admiral Sarah watched everything unfold. Reports from across the galaxy appeared on her screens. She saw the panic, the fear, the chaos. Her second officer asked, "Should we speak to them again? Should we calm them?" Sarah shook her head. "No, fear keeps them from fighting. Fear keeps peace alive." The officer hesitated. "But this fear will grow into hate." Sarah looked out at the stars. "Maybe it must. If they hate us, they will remember us, and they will never make war again." Behind her, the horizon engine hummed quietly. It was larger now, expanding slowly, as if feeding on invisible energy. Scientists from Earth worked in silence, their faces pale. One of them whispered, "The signal we received weeks ago. It matches something from the old archives." Sarah turned. "Show me." A hologram appeared. It showed ancient data from before the human expansion, a record from an unknown source. It spoke of travelers who once crossed the galaxy, powerful beings who vanished after destroying countless worlds. The last line read, "They came from beyond the edge, and when they left they promised to return." Sarah stared at the words. So it begins again. Back in Vaughn space, Kyle completed his research. He had decoded more of the message found on the Krell world. The full translation chilled him to the core. "We ended them once. We will do it again." He ran to General Lareth with the results. Lareth read it in silence. "If this is true, then humanity is not the first civilization to end wars. They're the last survivors of something older, something that destroyed its own creators." Kyle nodded. "And now they are preparing for the return of that something." The two men looked out at the stars. Somewhere far away, a faint blue glow appeared in the distance. Kyle whispered, "Do you see that?" Lareth nodded slowly. "Yes, and I think the humans already know what it means." At that same moment, on the bridge of the human flagship Atlas, Admiral Sarah received the same signal. Her expression did not change. She gave only one order: activate all fleets. The enemy is coming, and with that, the quiet peace of the galaxy began to crumble once again. The signal spread across the galaxy like a whisper through smoke. It was weak, broken, and ancient, but it carried something no one could ignore. The humans called it the return signal. The Vaughn called it the ghost of the stars. Admiral Sarah sat in silence inside the command chamber of the Atlas. The signal pulsed softly on the main screen, one beat every 10 seconds. It was slow, steady, alive. The engineers had no idea where it came from. It was not from any star or planet. It came from empty space itself. The last time humanity had seen such a signal was long before their rise into the stars. It was from an old archive deep beneath the surface of Mars. That archive held records so old that even Earth's historians barely understood them. Records that spoke of the First War. Sarah ordered her ship to return to Earth. As the Atlas entered the Sol system, the sun's light reflected across the fleet like fire on steel. The people of Earth watched as their protectors came home. But the Admiral brought no celebration. She brought warning. On Earth, inside a facility known only as Archive 9, she met with the Council of Command. They were the oldest minds of humanity, guardians of secrets that had been hidden for generations. Sarah stood before them and said, "The signal we received matches one from 10,000 years ago." The room went silent. One of the counselors, an old man with pale eyes, spoke slowly. "So it begins again," Sarah frowned. "You knew this could happen," the old man nodded. "Yes, because we were not the first to hold this power. Before us there was another. We called them the Architects. They created the first Horizon engine. They built weapons that could bend space and erase armies. But they vanished before we were born." Sarah asked, "What happened to them?" The counselor replied, "They created peace. Then they disappeared." The words felt heavy. Sarah understood the truth behind them. Humanity had not invented their power. They had inherited it. They had found the ruins of the Architects long ago, hidden beneath the Martian soil. That was how they built the first human fleet, how they learned to control gravity and time. But now, something from that forgotten age was calling again. Across the galaxy, the Vorn and Krell also heard the signal. It reached every world, every station, every sensor. The Krell hives began to chant in fear, believing the gods of the humans were returning. The Vorn scientists worked desperately to decode it. In a deep research base under the frozen surface of Vorn Prime, Kale and Lareth studied the signal wave by wave. After weeks of work, they discovered something terrifying. Hidden inside the pattern of the signal were coordinates, a location beyond the edge of known space. Kyle looked at the data in silence. "This place is outside our galaxy. No ship has ever gone that far," Lareth nodded. "Then maybe that is where the humans came from." They decided to send a small probe. It would take months to reach the coordinates, but they needed answers. The probe left quietly, its engines dark, its signal masked. Days later, something unexpected happened. The humans appeared again. Their fleets moved across the stars with precision, surrounding Vorn space without firing a single shot. Every communication channel opened at once. Admiral Sarah's voice filled the air. "Calm, strong, unshaken. You have touched what you do not understand. Stand down. Leave the signal alone," Lareth responded, trying to sound brave. "We only seek knowledge. Is that a crime?" Sarah answered, "Knowledge is not the crime. Ignoring the warnings is." The connection ended. Moments later, every Vorn satellite went dark. Not destroyed, just turned off. Humanity had spoken. Inside his lab, Kyle watched the black screens with shaking hands. He whispered, "They are afraid of something. Something in that signal. Something even they cannot control." Meanwhile, the probe they launched continued its journey beyond the galaxy. For days, it traveled through the dark void. Then one morning it sent back an image. A world unlike any other. A planet made of metal and light. Its surface shone with strange blue lines that pulsed like veins. Kyle stared at the image. "That is not a planet," he said. "That is a machine." The transmission ended suddenly. The probe was gone, but before it vanished, one final message reached the Vorn. Just one word in human language. Origin. Back on Earth, Admiral Sarah stood alone in Archive 9. She stared at the same coordinates the Vorn had discovered. She knew what waited there. The place where the Architects had fallen. A young officer entered the room. "Admiral, the others want to know what to do." Sarah took a long breath. "We do nothing, not yet. If they wake what sleeps there, it will not be war. It will be extinction." Outside the command base, the Horizon engine pulsed faster, reacting to the same signal. Scientists tried to control it, but its energy grew stronger with each passing hour. One of them shouted, "It's responding to something. It's calling back!" In that moment, across the galaxy, the signal changed. It became clearer, louder, alive. And for the first time, it spoke in words everyone could understand. "We remember you, children of Sol." Every ship, every base, every living being froze. The humans looked to the stars with cold eyes. The Vorn and Krell trembled. The architects had returned. The voice of the architects echoed through the galaxy. "We remember you, children of Sol." The message repeated again and again in every language, on every frequency. No one could block it, no one could stop it. The stars themselves seemed to carry the words. Across the galaxy, panic returned. The Krell fell to their knees in their temples. The Vorn shut down their communication networks. They believed the end of all life had come. On Earth, inside the command chamber of Archive 9, Admiral Sarah stood before the great screen. The voice played softly, calm yet powerful. Every word carried a weight that felt older than time. Sarah turned to the Council of Command. "It's them, the architects." "They are awake," the old counselor nodded slowly. "So the day has come. The makers have returned for their creation," Sarah asked quietly. "What do they want?" No one answered. Far away in Vorn space, Kale and General Loreth studied the incoming waves of data from the signal. The energy readings were beyond anything known. The architect's presence bent gravity itself. Even the stars near the signal began to shift, their light changing color as if afraid to shine. Kyle whispered, "They are not coming to visit. They are coming to reclaim," Lareth frowned. "Reclaim what?" Kale looked at the screen. "Everything." Back on Earth, Admiral Sarah called a secret meeting with her commanders. The atmosphere was heavy with fear, yet no one dared to show it. Humanity had faced wars, monsters, and alien empires. But this was different. These were the beings who had created the Horizon technology itself, the same power humanity used to end wars. One commander asked, "If they are our creators, maybe they come in peace." Sarah shook her head. "Creators do not speak with peace when they say, 'We remember you.' They speak with purpose." She looked out the window at the blue light of the Horizon engine. "And we have used their power to destroy. They will judge us. The decision before humanity was impossible. Should they fight the architects, the gods of their own technology, or surrender everything and hope for mercy?" For hours the council debated. Some wanted to prepare for war. Others begged to hide, to shut down the Horizon engines and disappear. Finally, Admiral Sarah stood and spoke firmly. "We cannot run. We cannot beg. Humanity stands as it always has, on its own. We will face them." Her words spread across the human fleet. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians all heard them. They did not cheer. They did not smile. They understood the weight of her choice. To face the architects was to face extinction itself. Far across space, the Vorn picked up the human transmission. General Lareth listened to it with awe. "They plan to fight," he said. Kale shook his head. "Fight against gods?" Lareth smiled weakly. "They are human. They always fight." Days later, the sky itself began to change. Across the galaxy, great rifts of light opened. Blue, gold, and white energy flowed like rivers through space. From within those rifts, vast shapes emerged, ships larger than moons, smooth and silent, glowing with patterns no mind could understand. The architects had arrived. Every living creature felt their presence, not through sight but through thought. The architects spoke without sound, entering the minds of those who could feel. Their message was simple: your cycle is complete. You were given the gift of creation. You turned it into destruction. Now your time ends. Admiral Sarah stood on the bridge of the Atlas. The stars outside her window bent under the light of the architect ships. She whispered, "So this is judgment." Her second officer looked at her with fear. "What do we do, Admiral?" Sarah took a deep breath. "We do what humans always do. We make our own choice." She turned to her crew. "Activate the Horizon engine. Link every ship. Prepare the Ark Protocol." The crew froze. The Ark Protocol was humanity's last secret, a system designed to use all Horizon engines at once. It could fold not just space but time. No one knew what would happen if it was used. The officer asked, "Admiral, if we use it, we may destroy ourselves." Sarah nodded. "Then we destroy ourselves free." The order was given. Across human space, engines roared to life. The blue light spread across 1,000 ships, then 1,000,000. The horizon network pulsed like a heartbeat. The architects noticed. Their voice thundered through the void. "You cannot defy your makers," Sarah whispered. "We already have." The light of the horizon grew brighter. Planets trembled. The stars seemed to scream. Every human ship began to merge its power into one single point, the core of the Atlas. At that moment, Kale and Lareth watched from far away. Their scanners showed impossible readings. Space itself was breaking apart. Lareth said, "They are rewriting the laws of the universe." Kale replied, "No, they are writing new ones." In the center of the storm, the architect fleet surrounded the Atlas. The largest ship extended beams of golden light. But before it could strike, Sarah spoke her final command. Humanity chooses its own fate. The horizon light exploded outward, blinding every sensor in the galaxy. For one moment everything vanished. Stars, planets, ships, time itself. Then silence. When the light faded, the architect ships were gone. The humans were gone. The horizon network was gone. Only the quiet remained. The Vorn scanners showed no trace of either side. Just empty stars and cold space. Kyle stood in awe. They did it. They made a choice no one else could. Lareth nodded slowly. They ended judgment itself. Across the galaxy, everyone waited. Some believed the humans had died. Others believed they had ascended beyond the universe. But deep in the dark between galaxies, a faint blue spark flickered once, like a heartbeat. Humanity was not gone. They had moved beyond reach, waiting for the right moment to return. The galaxy was silent for the first time in 1,000 years. No human signal, no warships, no horizon light. Just stars, cold, distant and watching. The Vorn Empire counted the days, waiting for the humans to return. The Krell stopped their endless migrations. Even the smallest races of the galaxy whispered prayers to the empty sky. They all felt it, a space where humanity used to be. It was like a missing heartbeat in the body of the stars. On Vorn Prime, Kyle still searched. His lab was filled with broken scanners and old data logs. Every night he replayed the final signal, the blinding blue wave that had erased both humanity and the architects. He whispered every time, "Where did you go?" Lareth, now older and weary, visited him often. "It has been years, Kale. Maybe they are truly gone." Kale shook his head. "No, I don't believe that. You don't end a force like that. You don't erase willpower." Outside their world, faint disturbances began to appear, flashes of light, ripples in space, like echoes of something trying to return. Scientists from every world noticed it, but they were afraid to speak. Then one night, Kale's monitor beeped. A faint signal appeared, weak but real, not from within the galaxy, but from far beyond. The same blue frequency humans once used. Lareth stared at it, his hands trembling. "It's them," Kyle nodded. The horizon heartbeat. The signal grew stronger. It carried a pattern, slow, deliberate, like someone trying to speak through endless distance. After days of decoding, a message finally formed. "We are not gone. The architects cannot follow." The words sent shock through every species. The humans had not died. They had escaped the universe of their creators. They had found a place beyond reach. Across the stars, people began to hope again. The Vorn built new temples in honor of the eternal defenders. The Krell sang songs of the blue flame that defied the gods. For the first time, peace spread, not through fear but through respect, yet the story was not finished. Years later, Kyle received a private transmission. It came from a point near the edge of known space, the same coordinates where the architects had once appeared. The message was simple, one line of text. "They are trying to return." Kyle knew what it meant. The architects were rebuilding, trying to cross back into this galaxy. He went to Lareth. "If the architects return, everything will end again." Lareth nodded grimly. Then we must warn them. But who? Kale asked quietly. The humans are gone. Lareth looked at him. And then maybe we must bring them back. Using the last surviving pieces of Horizon technology, the Vorn scientists began to rebuild a gateway, a machine that could open a path between universes. It was dangerous. It could destroy them all. But they had no choice. As the machine neared completion, the stars began to shake again. The same golden light that once marked the arrival of the architects filled the skies. Massive shadows moved in the dark. The architects were returning faster than expected. Kyle shouted to his crew, "Open the gate now!" The Horizon reactor glowed bright blue, burning hotter than ever. The energy screamed across the lab. The universe itself seemed to twist. Then, for a moment, everything froze. The light faded, silence, and then a voice, calm, human, powerful, spoke from the other side of the gate. "Stand down. We are here." Kyle fell to his knees in relief. They came back. Through the blinding light, shapes emerged. Human ships, forged in strange new metal, glowing with energy unknown to science. They looked different, evolved but unmistakably human. Admiral Sarah stood at the front of the lead vessel, her face older but her eyes burning bright. Her voice echoed through every channel. "This war is over." The architect fleet arrived moments later, vast and golden. They spoke directly into the minds of all beings once more. "You cannot exist outside the design. Return to the pattern," Sarah replied, her tone calm but unyielding. "The pattern is broken. You taught us creation. You taught us power. But you forgot the one thing humans never lose: choice." The architects unleashed their light. Beams of pure energy crashed against the human fleet. But the new ships did not fall. The energy bent, twisted, and vanished, as if space itself obeyed the humans now. Sarah raised her hand. "End it." A pulse of blue light erupted from the fleet. It did not destroy, it rewrote. The golden ships of the architects began to dissolve, their energy scattering into the stars like dust in the wind. When the light faded, nothing remained of the old gods. The galaxy watched in silence as the humans stood victorious, not by force, but by will. Sarah spoke once more. "No more war, no more masters. The galaxy belongs to all who live in it." Her fleet vanished soon after, fading into light, returning to the place beyond stars. For centuries after, no one saw them again. But whenever the galaxy faced darkness, strange blue lights would appear in the night sky, soft, silent, like guardians watching from beyond. The legend grew. Children of every world looked up and whispered a single phrase. They fought for ages, but humanity ended it in days. And somewhere in the endless dark, Admiral Sarah watched the stars and smiled. "Humanity was never meant to rule," she whispered. "We were meant to remind them that freedom can never be erased." The light of the horizon pulsed once more, gentle, endless, eternal.